we got here after a decision by the Michigan Supreme Court in June. The court decided that through the use of a one-man grand jury, indictments could not be issued. All 9 defendants were indicted through a judge in Genesee County.
The Supreme Court basically said the case had to be dismissed. Not basically, they did. They said the case had to be dismissed.
Todd Flood was the former special prosecutor who led the first Flint water crisis investigation. He was appointed by then Michigan Attorney General Bill Schuette. Flood charged 15 people. After 3 years, 2 of the defendants charged were on the verge of heading to a trial. Their cases were bound over to circuit court. But then in 2019, newly elected Attorney General Dana Nessel fired Flood from the special prosecution team, and all those charges were dropped.
I saw the suffering. I saw what this did to everybody there.
In January of 2021, Michigan Solicitor General Fadwa Hammoud and Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy announced the new charges against 9 defendants. Now 8 of those defendants have had their cases tossed. Snyder's charges were dismissed. The other 7 were dismissed in October.
So there's 2 hurdles. 1, statute of limitations on certain cases, and 2, the taint review. So that is something where they would have to go through all the material again with a new team, because the current team has been provided information that was privileged. So I think the on-ramp to do that would be slim and none, to be candid.
With 8 of the 9 defendants' charges now being dismissed, we have not heard if Howard Croft, the former director of the City of Flint Department of Public Works, will have his case dropped. But Flood says it's safe to assume those will also be dropped.
He was indicted by a grand jury, and that ruling stands as it is, that the grand jury, those cases have to be dismissed.
And no one has yet to be held accountable for the Flint water crisis. To this day, millions of taxpayer dollars have been spent in this legal battle. From 2016 to 2018, during that time, Todd Flood was investigating these cases. Legal fees exceeded $30 million. That's according to our reporting at Mid-MichiganNow. The Attorney General's office told me back in July, from 2016 to June of 2022, the office had spent more than $15 million in this investigation, and a majority of that money went to payroll expenses. But the Detroit News reported back in July a much larger figure, saying from 2016 to 2022, $53 million was spent. They include legal fees of attorneys.
Nation is all part of the internal investigation and operations of the Flint Fire Department and recommendations by the chief, right? So it doesn't have much bearing on my lawsuit.
On May 28th, 2022, the Flint Fire Department was called to the 600 block of West Pulaski for a house fire. At the time, 2 children, 9-year-old Lamar Mitchell and 12-year-old Zaire Mitchell, were at home. 2 firefighters gave the all clear and wrote in their report there was no one at home. 6 minutes after the all clear was given, according to the fire department report, 2 other firefighters went upstairs and found the 2 boys alive and breathing. Both boys died days later.
Everyone's hearts should go out to them, and the journey they have to walk through is long and hard.
Flood, who represents the family in this case, says he is doing his due diligence to bring closure for this family.
We want to make sure every T is crossed and I is dotted. So I have experts that have come in, and I'm waiting for their reports. Most of them have given me their opinions.
While no lawsuit will ever bring back Lamar and Zaire, Flood says he wants to do right for these boys.
For me to try to sum up how they're doing, there's no real way to do that with justice. All I'm trying to do is give them mercy.
Flint Central High School has been abandoned since 2009, and I spoke with a newly elected Flint Board of Education member who says it's time to secure these abandoned and vacant schools in Flint. Flint Central High School is one of the many abandoned schools in the Flint Community Schools District. And according to Kevin Jones, Flint superintendent, the demolition of Flint Central would cost an estimated $3 million. Flint native Dylan Luna is a newly elected board member to the Flint Board of Education. He says these vacant schools in the district is an ongoing issue that he wants to fix.
A lot of folks like to explore these buildings. If someone falls, cuts their arm, gets hurt, or worse, that's a huge legal liability that the district has to encumber. So I think it's responsible and incumbent upon the district to make sure, at the very least, those properties are secure with fencing and security.
Luna says there needs to be a plan in place to figure out the best solution regarding these vacant properties, such as Central.
When it comes to Central, I think there needs to be some deep analysis about how much does it cost to demo it, to build new, to do a partial demolition. We need to see numbers with each plan next to each other.
Councilwoman Allie Herkenroder represents the 7th Ward on Flint City Council. Herkenroder says Central High School holds so many memories for those who attended the school and live in the neighborhoods around it. In an October Flint's Board of Education meeting, the vote to demolish the building was not settled. Herkenroder says in part, quote, "It is unfortunate that the present school board would rather invest money to demolish the historic building instead of investing the funds to properly secure it to prevent further damage to the property. I have faith that with the newly elected school board, Central will be properly secured so that in the future, the building can once again be a place where Flint scholars learn and grow," end quote. I reached out to Flint's Community School Superintendent Kevin Jones, who provided me with this statement saying in part, quote, "The long-term goal is to sell or redevelop on these properties so that they can once again become positive spaces, improve our neighborhoods, and empower our community. We are working with the Flint Board of Education to vet bids and determine the next steps for these locations," end quote.